And I was just 23, 24 when I had finished these 30, 35 movies. From day one, I am compromising. This is where manipulation comes in. Sanjay Dutt went into jail for 5 years. Production house got into trouble. They went into jail for 7 years. ये कौन business है? This is where there is a lot of scam coming in. I have faced this.
So that was the ground reality.
And I had the good opportunity to work with Karan as an assistant director.
From the second movie as a assistant director to Kaal, can you throw some more light? How did Kaal act?
So see, he was Mr. Yash Johar. He was an institute by himself. And he threw my script on my face like this. कुछ भी Kaal, क्या बनाना है तुमको? क्या क्या लिखा है तुमने? Jungle, Tiger, Corbett, क्या कुछ समझ में आता है? It's all about a script. Whether you are a first timer, whether you've made 10 super hits, your script has to transform that confidence that I can see this film on paper. And if you can see that film on paper, it is worth taking it forward.
I totally agree. Welcome to another episode of Level Up with Love. I'm your host Luv Israni, and today we're in for an absolute treat. We have an exceptional guest joining us today. Yes, he's one of Indian cinema's dynamic director and a writer. Right from assisting Karan in Kuch Kuch Hota Hai to steering the director's chair for Varma production, his path in Bollywood has been truly remarkable. He has also directed a number of TV commercials, not only for the Indian industry but also for the international market like Pakistan, Israel, Bangkok, UAE. He is a visionary behind Hindi blockbusters like Kaal and Luck. We've seen a lot of Bollywood cinemas being adopted from others, right? We always say that. But he's someone who has made us proud, as it is said that the famous Korean web series Squid Games was inspired by his movie Luck. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to embark on an enlightening journey with the dynamic and super talented Soham Shah, encapsulating his achievements, creativity and diverse contribution to the world of filmmaking. Abhi, what gets you to wake up every day from your bed?
My joint pain.
He's really gone through such hassles every day.
Oh my god, I had tears in my eyes. First paycheck I got was 40,000 at the age of 14 and a half.
साला शादी वाला फोटोग्राफर लग रहा हूँ मैं तुम्हें.
I said, I want to become a director. साला मेरा कोई पैसा तो नहीं काटेगा.
How does one become a photographer if he's using compositing?
How many times did love come in it?
Oh, love is the way of our life, man.
Listen, when did you pick up your camera for the first time?
At the age of 11.
An accident. Can you imagine shooting Amitabh Bachchan for the first time and you get fired by him?
Oh my god, I think.
Just make this content viral.
It's a very tricky situation.
That journey began, I would say, magically.
So I said, 12 दिन के अगर जो 8,000 रुपया मिल रहा है तो ठीक है. And he was like, no, I'm paying you per day 8,000 rupees. You have to innovate and shock yourselves every 3 years.
That's a cheers moment. Hi Soham, welcome to Level Up with Love. It's a pleasure having you here in this conversation.
Thank you, love. It's been a long association and really exciting for me to be here.
Absolutely. I think when you see the word long association, it takes me back to the shoot that I was doing with you back in the day in Film City with a humongous set where I met you, I think a decade back.
Yeah, almost 10 years back. And I think it's a great time to meet again because those ad films that we shot together, and it was with Sunny Deol, and it's been 10 years and right now it's like that Gadar 2 fever going on, and it's become such a big hit. So I also remember those days when we shot together. Yeah.
So Soham, I think let's start. For our audience, I do know you, but for our audience, let's start from where did your journey begin and when did you realize that you wanted to be a filmmaker?
When I was in JJ School of Arts as commercial arts, I was learning commercial arts. And in those days, everybody was into advertising. Like obviously the commercial art course would take the artist towards, commercial art, which is advertising. But I used to be a film buff since then. I used to be obviously a avid film goer. Every Friday I would watch films. And when I used to travel by train to VT station, and on the way, like, we used to see that us time mein the posters of films used to be very tacky. Like, there were no photo shoots happening that time. There were no computer graphics happening that time. So us time pe cut paste karke posters बनाए जाते थे. So all our older films that I used to see. So somehow, I was...
मतलब ये मतलब ऐसे I always
90s.
Okay.
Let's put it 1990. Say towards the last year of my college. So, I used to always feel that why are the film posters so jarring and so tacky? Why can't they be designed well? So, मेरा focus वहीं पे था, and I always wanted to get into, because I was learning advertising, I wanted to do film advertising. So once I finished my college, and I kind of, I was already doing a lot of corporate work, designing work, but my focus was towards, developing film designs and film photography. Then Photoshop came that time. So I was one of those lucky ones who had just come out of college, learned Photoshop. So we had those new tools to kind of address, and that's when doing my advertising work, I kind of, happened to make a few filmy friends, filmy contacts. And luckily, I got one or two projects where I could do like the film advertising for a movie called Kartoos, which had Sanjay Dutt, which had Jackie Shroff, and a film called Dark the Fire, that again with Sanjay Dutt, and Safari. Like I got 2-3 assignments, and to prove myself. Yes, so I started off my career as a publicity designer. So I kind of, so that business kind of took off, and I did advertising for approximately 30-35 movies, which include like very big hits like Hera Fairy, Fir Hera Fairy, Deewane Hue Pagal, Avara Pagal Deewana, Dil Lagi, Shool, Bhoot, Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham. So that kind of started giving me the confidence of direction, because...
So you were basically a photographer. I mean, so you were also...
I was not doing photography. I was a graphic designer, but I used to design the posters and the entire... So producers, I used to interact. I started interacting with producers, directors. They used to narrate me the film. So I started hearing how a narration is, I worked with best of the directors like Anis Bazmi, who was a writer at that time. So I used to hear these narrations from these very big, writers, directors. So I started getting that keeda, ke yaar, this is how filmmaking is, it's much more challenging and exciting. So while I was designing those posters, I interacted with 30, 40, 50 best, like from David Dhawan sir to so many big directors. So I think that is where I started getting more and more into filmmaking. And I'll tell you a very funny incident that in spite of doing so many films and in spite of working like 20 hours a day, so as a designer, what used to happen, you used to work very hard. And by the time the film releases, your payments would never come. And after the film is released, nobody wanted to pay you. So one day I said, yaar, main film industry mein aisa kaam karunga where nobody can cut my payment. So I said, what is the topmost position in the filmmaking? That is of a director. So I said, yaar, I want to become a director. Sala mera koi paisa to nahi katega.
So that was the ground reality.
So that's just the humor part. But that was one of the trigger points that, once when you want to survive in this industry. And, I was just 23, 24 when I had finished these 30, 35 movies. And then I realized one more thing, that whether it's a smaller budget film or a very big filmmaker's film, my job was the same, that we had to do the best of the publicity. And then I also realized that, maybe 5 years down the line, tools like Photoshop or tools like the designing softwares, these will become common. And I eventually knew that, this will become a dead market, because how do you grow in that? And I was so young that I obviously had that energy to kind of, learn something more, which is where I developed this, that why shouldn't I assist somebody and learn filmmaking? And I want to, this is like a hobby. You can do Photoshop or you can do designing. That is like a business that can go on forever. But I wanted to learn something more. And that's when I branched out from advertising. I kind of closed my agency and had the good opportunity to work with Karan as an assistant director on Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham.
Okay.
So 2 years I spent in Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham learning what filmmaking is. Of course, it was an amazing experience where initially in those 2 years I did not figure out, and I could not connect the dots how a film is made, because it's your first experience and it's such a huge film. And then I kind of assisted Ram Gopal Varma on Bhoot, okay, who is a technically fantastic director. So when I worked with Ramuji on Bhoot, in the first 15-20 days of the shoot, I kind of started understanding immediately that yes, now I understand how a film can be, actually from the visualization, from the writing process to the making, how everything connects. So that was my journey. And then by the end of Bhoot, I started writing my own script, which was Kaal. And then I got my break as a director.
So how did, from the second movie as a assistant director to Kaal, can you throw some more light? How did Kaal happen?
So see, somehow, I don't know, by the time I had finished Bhoot, I had some kind of a confidence in myself that I don't want to keep assisting 3, 4, 5, 6 movies, because I think when you overdo that span also, I guess that unless of course you don't have a script to say or a story to say, I was quite clear that I don't want to assist any more beyond this, because I'd spent 3 years into it, and I said that at least I understand now how to make a film. And by then I started writing the script. And then like Karan Johar actually told me the other day that you work with Ram Gopal Varma and you learn whatever you want to learn, but the day you are ready with the script, I should be the first one to read that script. So I said fair enough, and I kind of took off. I took a break for 6 months. I started writing the script. When my script was ready, I was like, I had no expectations that Karan Johar might like it, because that genre was so different that Dharma Productions would, they were not into making horror films or supernatural thrillers and all. So there was no plan or an idea for me that to, pitch him the script. But then when we met and he asked me what you're up to and things like that, and I said my script is ready. So he said, I want to read. I said, listen, please, you might not understand this genre or what I've written. It's very different than what
Dharma is known for. Yeah, what Dharma.
But surprisingly, he really liked it a lot, and he decided to produce it. That's how kind of my first break happened. Kaal.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's often said that people look up to Dharma, that okay, you go there as an AD and Karan Johar gives you that platform.
Yeah.
So I think that's exactly what.
See, I would also put it this way that it's not necessary, because end of the day, at least Karan Johar believed that to be a filmmaker, you should maybe have your own storytelling, which at that point I had. I had not wasted a lot of time, and I had put my thoughts into writing a script which which came across well. That is, it's all about a script. Whether you are a first timer, whether you've made 10 super hits, your script has to transform that confidence that I can see this film on paper. And if you can see that film on paper, it is worth taking it forward. So I think that definitely worked for me, that I had a script. If I would have been without a script, it's not necessary that I would get a break. Because technically, there are so many people who know the technique. But to become a filmmaker somewhere, if you have a good story to tell, that will help.
Amazing. So you're saying more than the techniques, it's a story, what you feel is more important to be a successful filmmaker at the end.
So I'll tell you, a couple of years back, I would have said different things. Today, I would say different things. The reason being that at that point, say let's take it like 15 years back, there was only one medium, which was films. And people would come with a dream or with a, urge that I want to learn filmmaking and become a director. And that time there was just one cinema that we used to be used to, whether it was to be seen on theatre. Today, there are too many avenues. Like today, there's OTT. Today, there's TV serials, which have always been there. And there are so many short films, bloggers are there. There are like so many mediums to tell a story. So like even wedding filmography is no more a wedding shoot karna hai. It's become a filmmaking. Wedding filmmakers are also, they've taken it to a different level. The wedding shooting is like a Dharma production song. So, filmmaker like that designation has changed. Now it depends on the filmmaker, what filmmaker you want to become. We came in only with a dream that we want to make films for the big screen. Today also, when we kind of get an option of making a film or a web series only for OTT, that dying urge is there that no, we want all our substance to come on a big screen because that's how we've grown up, So a filmmaker, yeah, the Friday release. So I think there are so many different avenues coming up now for a filmmaker.
But can you throw some more light on Kaal? I mean, working with, you were a young filmmaker then and getting such big stars there. How did you manage pulling through a film of that stature?
So see, I think there were a lot of challenges. First of all, the best challenge that came across for me was that, see, Karan Johar was a creative mind. He was fantastic and he read my script and he thought that this is something not done in India. And he thought that we should produce this. But then he sent me to the next chamber where his father used to sit. He was Mr. Yash Johar and he was the senior person and he was he was an institute by himself and he was very angry with me. So he kind of, called me to the cabin and he said, "Baitho." So I said, "Yes, sir." And he threw my script on my face like this. He said, "कुछ भी लिख के लाते हो तुम, कुछ भी काल, क्या बनाना है तुमको, क्या क्या लिखा है तुमने, जंगल, टाइगर, कॉर्बेट, क्या कुछ समझ में आता है?" So I just heard it out. And see, he was actually motivating me. But that was his style. He told me that तुमने लिखा है Corbett Park. तुमको पता है in 1950s, Sunil Dutt साहब wanted to shoot in Corbett Park, the jungle. He said he never got the permission. So he said that तुम youngsters कुछ भी लिख के लाते हो, तुमको लगता है करण जौहर तुम्हारा प्रोड्यूसर है तो कुछ भी शूट हो जाएगा. So he challenged me and I really thank him for that today because he said I will pay for your travel, I will pay for your stay and whatever you require financially I'll support you. But you go to Corbett, none of my production person will come with you for help. And if you get Corbett Park permission to shoot this film, he said, I will not question your film and I will make this film for you. So, he threw me in that ocean that tum karke lao. And he said, you can't use my name or Karan Johar's name because with our name, you will get everything. Just go on your own. Today, we have not kind of, signed you. That was the testing. Yeah, that was testing because I'll tell you. So I went with one of my assistants and we went to Corbett and we stayed like normal tourists. And it took us 8 days to only meet the DFO, the forest officer, the senior forest officer of Corbett Park. To meet him, it took me 8 days because every day we would go. Sometimes he's like busy. Sometimes he would say, Kal aana, parso aana, kya hai, kaun hai, film wale. And that time, film industry or film wale jo bhi hai, naam was very like filmy types. Nobody used to entertain you. तो वो मिलते मिलते 7-8 दिन लग गए एंड वहाँ से फ़ोन आ रहे थे कि कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, पैसा वेस्ट मत करो, वापस आ जाओ बॉम्बे. सो आई सेड वो कल लास्ट डे देख लेते, मिल जाएगा परमिशन. एंड देन फाइनली व्हेन आई मेट हिम, सो आई एक्चुअली टोल्ड द डीएफओ, द फॉरेस्ट ऑफिसर, दैट सर माई रिक्वेस्ट इज ईदर आई नरेट यू द स्क्रिप्ट फॉर 2 hours or sir if you want to read and if you can read it, please read it. But only when you hear the 2 hours narration or you read the script, you will understand why we require the permission in Corbett Park. So it was very organic, very genuine that we have a message saying don't, destroy the forest. At the same time, save the tigers and stuff like that. So the forest, he said that, हाँ तुम रख के जाओ, मैं कल बात करता हूँ. So obviously we thought he'll never read the script. Surprisingly, luckily next day, we got the appointment. He called us that bulao do ladko ko. And I went with my assistant and he was extremely impressed. He said it's a great subject for Corbett Park, for the tourism, for the forest industry, and nobody's thought of such a thing with a commercial format. And he said, इसमें हीरो कौन लोगे आप? तो I said, सर हीरो तो टाइगर्स ही है मेरे, और उसके बाद जो स्टार कास्ट आएगी आप परमिशन दोगे तो हम जाके we will start talking to the bigger stars and all. And luckily I got the permission on paper. And when I went back and Yash ji was like, क्या हुआ, कितना पैसा वेस्ट करके आ गए, नहीं मिला, मैंने बोला था तुमको नहीं मिलेगा. So I was very obviously proud, but I was very humbly I said, sir, sorry sir, it's good that we've got the permission, you can check it, and if you want to speak to Mr. Hathi, his name was, I said Mr. Hathi is a forest officer, you can talk to him also. So he was really he didn't expect that we'll get the permission. But I think he really respected me for that. And then we had a fantastic time making the entire film. He said, now go all out. you've done something which maybe like it was impossible. So but then he told me one thing. He said, so हम एक phone लगाता मैं और मुझे फैक्स पे एक दिन में ये परमिशन मिल सकती थी, because I could have done that with my influence. He said there will be a day when you will be a producer, you will be a filmmaker, you might not have Dharma production or me, you should be able to do everything on your own. That is how I want you to make a film. So from that day till
Respect for what
absolutely
made you go
yeah,
through.
yeah. See, today's producers are like, if you actually get into the producer's territory, they don't like it. They say like, you do your job, we'll do our job. But this is how he trained me, that you should know everything about production, just not direction, because there are hardships, there's money involved. There you should know everything, how much a light man charges, or how much is overshift, and everything you should know, because it's your responsibility. You are going to spend that money. So I think that kind of schooling, I don't think anybody would ever get.
Wow, I mean, I'm just touched with that entire thing, that he could have given it to you on a platter, but he made you work for it, which was brilliant. And then you got Star Cast.
So see, then Star Cast was, I would say, obviously because it was Karan Johar and it was Dharma. Star Cast was not very difficult for me, because Dharma was obviously at its peak. Kuch Kuch Hota Hai had released, Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum had released. So obviously Karan Johar was Karan Johar even then. But we had a discussion on the Star Cast. So I had always planned the film as a smaller film. Smaller in the sense that I was not really attempting very big stars in Kaal, because it was more of a content driven film. It was a concept driven film. So I had, like, when Karan used to ask me, so I had a very smaller cast in my mind. So I said, I just need the Kaali character which Ajay Devgan sir played. I said that I would want somebody like a Nana Patekar kind of a character, and we can take on any two newcomers kind of actors for the other two roles. So Karan had that vision. Karan said that no, let's work with bigger stars, and that's how we started. So obviously Vivek was a friend of mine, Oberoi, and we approached him first, and then ideally for the Kaali's role, that was my idea to kind of approach Ajay Devgan sir, because Karan did not have him in mind. Earlier we were also thinking of Sanjay Dutt for that. But Sanju sir's cases and stuff were going on at that time. We had met him also, but his cases were going on. So Sanju sir himself said that, if I get into the film and if I have to go to jail, then you all will get stuck. So that's how. But then I came up with the idea of Ajay Devgan sir, and Karan really liked it. So, and I had a little equation with him, because I was an assistant director on Booth. So I'd worked with Ajay sir on Booth. So that's how I went and approached him, and he liked the role. And obviously then John Abraham was just, Dhoom had not yet released, but Karan was aware that he's doing a fantastic job in Dhoom. So that's how the entire cast slowly kind of came on board.
Amazing. So I think you spoke about the challenges that you had to get the movie started. But what's the most memorable part of the movie?
See, I'll tell you, I think what I have experienced while making this film, I don't think ever any director will be able to, they'll get that opportunity to, face that challenge. So that time VFX were not really big, okay, like how Bahubali or today the kind of VFX that we see. That time VFX was not yet in, even the DI, digital coloring was not in. So I had written this scene where I have like 3 tigers coming up from, everywhere. From the jungle, from here, from there, so picture to shuru ho gayi, and producers also come completely on board with me that how are you going to shoot this? So the main problem
Executing
was to get the tigers. So I thought that ho jayega kuch na kuch. I was researching where to get the tigers from, and then I saw one song that time. Fardeen Khan's song had come, Janashin, in which Firoz Khan Saab was sitting with a tiger next to him. So I said, yaar, ye log ne tiger use kiya hai, let's find out ye tiger kaun sa hai, because ye jo tiger hai wo mil jayega apne ko. So that's how I found out that the tiger, this particular song was shot in Bangkok, in Thailand. So I started contacting those people who were the line producers of Janashin. Now, they were not seasoned line producers at that point. They were Feroz Khan's friends. So they just helped Feroz Khan for that one scene. And from the Bangkok Zoo, they must have got that tiger, who actually he was not a performing tiger. They would just keep him sitting there like a statue, and they were shooting the song because the tiger didn't have to do much. Now, in my scenes, the tiger had to perform. He had to attack. He had to do so many things. So then we went to Thailand. We met these people, had a lot of interaction on phone. And they said that just come over, we'll show you the tigers. Yeah, they can perform, When we go to Thailand, they were all like timid, dog kind of trained, simple tigers who were just sitting there. They couldn't perform. So we were back to square one कि यार इससे तो काम नहीं होगा, अभी क्या करें? So then I went to that extent to find out some of the best Hollywood trainers in tigers. So I was getting some trained lions in Africa. I was getting some cheetahs trained in Africa. But I wanted tigers because Corbett Park was about tigers. There are no lions in Corbett Park. Lions were only in Gir, Gujarat. So I had to get tigers. So then with my research, finding out, I got hold of the email address of the tiger trainer who had supplied tigers in Hollywood film Gladiator. Now that guy, his name was Randy Miller. I got in touch with him in US on mail. Those time phone भी मतलब 150 रुपए का 1 मिनट का phone होता था. So it was only on email, and I told Randy Miller that this is my requirement. How do we do it? So he said, come to US for the shoot. I said, yeah, we can't afford to come to US for the tiger shoot. Plus the forest in US is not going to match Corbett Park. So we had too many problems. We had too many issues with that. And then Yash ji is like, लो लिखो अभी और लिखो. Permission ले आए तो अभी tiger कहाँ से लाओगे? So that used to go on. That struggle was always on. And then finally, we also found out that if we have to shoot with the tigers in India, you can't bring external tigers, like abroad tigers in India. So again, that was a challenge. So finally,
you were being cornered from all sides.
every time we would face some new challenge. कि क्या करें अभी? And then there were a lot of ideas. आदमी को वो tiger का कपड़ा पहना के कुछ करे भालू की तरह and all that rubbish. We said no, we can't do that kind of tacky work. Finally, what we cracked was that we had a plan that we can fly the Gladiator tigers from US to Bangkok, and we shoot the jungle portion with the tigers in Bangkok, and the Bangkok jungles would match Indian Corbett Park. So that is what we decided then. And then you won't believe the hard work that has gone behind it, that before the tiger trainer came to Bangkok with the 3 tigers in flight, those tigers were trained in US for the kind of scenes that we had. So they had almost like 1 month of training in US. Then we go from here to Thailand. The tigers come to Thailand, and the entire world has heard this word quarantine recently in COVID. But we had heard quarantine that time because when those tigers landed in Bangkok, they had to be quarantined in the customs for 48 hours so that they don't spread any kind of germs or illness or stuff like that. So then that challenge, that they were kept in the cargo and they had to be kept in certain temperature of AC 24 hours. So that, and only a fantastic producer like Karan could help you do these things. Otherwise it's not easy. So we went through that, but eventually the tigers came to Thailand. They came out of the cages. We shot with them. We had all the major cast, like Ajay Devgan, to everybody with the live tigers. That also 3-3, and no CG, no VFX. It was all live, and it was not easy. It was tough, but it was unbelievable experience.
I mean, while you're telling me, it's just giving me some feelings that as an audience, जब लोग film देखते, they don't really realize what went behind it. It's so intriguing and it's so challenging that how you got these things together. It's just the universe made it happen for you. So Soham, with all this, you are somebody who's been doing a lot of TV commercials also. So other than these big feature films you got to doing TV commercials, which one do you enjoy more?
So see, I'll tell you. Luckily, I've had a great side to myself in making TVCs, which not many may have experienced. I've done approximately more than 100 ad films for Pakistan market in Bangkok. Okay, so that is somewhere my creativity has really developed, because I get to interact with a lot of international, production houses. I've shot ad films for Chinese products, Vietnam production houses, Singapore production houses. In fact, even for Israel production houses. So these are ad films where myself and say my one assistant director or my DOP has traveled from India, and rest of the crew of 60 people is all Israel crew, or completely Thai crew, obviously, or completely a Chinese crew. So I get to work with these international production houses.
What are you currently working on?
So see, I've just finished one film. The title of the film is Kartam Bhuktam. Kartam Bhuktam means what goes around comes around. So that has Shreyas Talpade, Vijay Raj, all fantastic actors, and Madhu, who was in Roja. So these kind of actors are there. We've just finished the film. It's the post-production is almost over now. So now we look forward to its release. Let's see, my producer will decide now which OTT platform to go with. So we are in talks with a couple of them now.
So, but since you've been a part of, I'm just saying, these are humongous projects where you talk about Kaal was released a few years back, to TVCs, to a movie again today. How have you seen the industry evolve and change, and what is the current format? How do you look at movie releases today?
So there's a lot of change. I think a lot of people don't really come out with these things, but I would want to be very honest that there's a lot of change. Earlier there was too much passion. Earlier there was a lot of first passion, a lot of creativity, and a lot of your own soul into a film. Okay, it was like a career move. Every film was like you were making with a lot of dream and a lot of passion, that this film I want to make it because this is what I want to say to the audience, and this is how I will put in my hard work. The hard work still remains the same, but entire business has changed. It's become almost 100% business. It's we've lost that filmmaking soul. We've lost that teamwork from the entire producer, director, actor team, where you're making a film to really prove something. That is happening, but that portion has become very small. So the whole conduct has become very, very
transactional.
I would say manipulative.
Would you want to say transactional from the
that also? Plus, see, it was very simple. Earlier, you come up with a script, you write a script, you narrate a script to a potential actor or a producer. They would believe in that. First, everybody would believe in the content. There were just 3 people you needed to make a film: a writer, director, actor, and producer. 4 things would make a film. This is what I believed that time. Today, it's not that. Thousands of good scripts are being made. Thousands of writers are there. Thousands of directors are there without work. The reason is that there are only these 10 actors. Okay, and then your scripts are not reaching them. There's a very new territory that has cropped up, which has made things not very easy for everyone, is the talent management. You have just 10 saleable actors, and then there are talent agencies who are the deciding factors whether your script should reach the actor or not reach the actor. So the filtration process has become very different, very difficult. So, you're not getting that one-to-one chance directly with the actor. Earlier, why earlier actors have been so successful and still surviving the game, from Ajay Devgan, Akshay Kumar to all these people, because they've survived for 4 decades. Okay, but they were the actors who would know the pulse of the director, whether this director knows his job, whether this director can direct, whether this director can tell a story, whether in 10 minutes or 1 hour or 2 hours. But it was very organic. The producers would really have the neck to find out talents. They would hear a script and they would believe in a director, take him to an actor. It was very organic. Now it's like, everything's, you go through a layer, you go through talent agencies, you mail something, that mail, we don't know if anybody is going to read that mail for 2 months. whether the actor has gone through your pitch docket or no. There's so much different now. So
But for a director like you who's done such great successful films, I mean, I totally understand this is a current scenario for a new director. But why does this happen with you? I mean,
So see, I'll tell you, with me particularly, I made a film called Sher, okay, in 2012-13. It was a big film with Sanjay Dutt, Vivek Oberoi, Paresh Rawal and stuff like that. Very big film, nice film, but the film couldn't release. So I had a gap in between. So, obviously you can't explain the gap to so many people, but that time Sanjay Dutt went into jail for 5 years. My producer, that production house, got into trouble. They had some financial issues with the stock market. It was called Ashtvinayak. They went into jail for 7 years. So that film did not release for a long time. So then, that gap really kind of, puts you back by 2-3 years. So people want to know what is the last thing you made. So unless your last Friday is a hit, things keep changing. And then obviously there's so much of, you might be busy, you might be working on scripts, I did web series with Z5 called Fixer. So I was non-stop working. But with the film industry, they need to keep seeing what you've done. So obviously those kind of, things kind of take you back. So that was my issue and that was my gap.
But with Bollywood films, you having a gap with Bollywood films. On the contrary, you said you've been doing so many ad films internationally.
Exactly.
So how did you develop that market? Or today, for a young director who wants more work,
so
how does it reach out to those people?
See, there was no particular plan to it, but what happened was that after, I knew these Thailand producers who had done work with me, So for one particular ad, they got stuck with the director. Last minute, the international director who was supposed to do their job could not make it, and from Pakistan and Dubai. So they preferred that we want a director who has worked with glossy films, who worked with bigger setup films. So we want somebody from the film industry who has done that kind of work. And so that's how I started getting my break into those ads. So that started as a career.
Oh, lovely. But anything else you want to throw some light for other filmmakers to look beyond? Because while we're talking today, we all know that, okay, like you said, Bollywood has these 10 actors and that competition is, I think, by the day it's increasing. I mean, from 100 directors, there are 1,000 directors. From 1,000, I think there are 1 lakh directors out there. There are 1 lakh other stories out there. So with the competitiveness in this industry today, how does a filmmaker yet survive? Because a lot of young filmmakers, I think they're probably creative, they have great stories to say, but what all can they be doing to really keep themselves busy?
So see, one thing that I have seen which is different since a couple of years was the newer generation are not coming also completely to become directors. For example, that earlier if you were an assistant director, you used to come that one day, let me learn, let me become an assistant and then I'll make my own film. Today, that thought process has also changed. People coming from, like say, Dehradun, coming from Delhi, coming from smaller towns of, northeast, they also come with a different mind frame that we don't want to become a director. We want to become the best of the associate director. We want to become the best of assistant director who are paid well. So, there's a difference in approach also. So, that depends on each individual. But today, if I would just say that to a newcomer, I would first of all say that when we started assisting Karan or Gopal Varma, we did that because there were no institutes, there were no teaching classes, there were no places to go where you would go and learn filmmaking. But I would really advise people that first take formal training in whatever level of institute. See, even when an actor comes, people go to Anupam Kher's Academy, Actor Prepares. And, when I went to JJ School of Arts. Those 5 years, I might have thought that what are we learning here? We're drawing vegetables, what are we doing here? But eventually that was our grounding, which gave us that entire confidence of becoming a commercial artist. So I think education is very important. That applies to filmmaking also. I think one should start with some kind of education, some kind of course, classes, whether it's online, offline, whatever. And then assisting on set is definitely, it goes without saying. I've seen so many directors today who have never attended a film set but they've become directors. So, you might be smart at talking, you might be smart now with AI and so many things to help you. You might, there are so many examples that people have done 2 ad films, but they think they've become directors and then they straight away want to become movie directors. But I think that one should invest time in learning put in those 2, 3, 4 years of hard work in getting your groundwork more strong and then come prepared so that when you see, it's like when you get that first opportunity to direct anything, that becomes your show reel. So I think that show reel is going to take you where you will go in life. So your show reel needs to be very good. People are going to judge you only by what you've made. Today, we are sitting here because of the movies I've made. So I think you need to put in 200% in anything that you do. So that is definitely what I would like to tell people.
I totally agree. I mean, I think what you spoke, formal education, of course, I think that topic is very, very, near to my heart because absolutely when I started off 17, 18 years back, I didn't have that whole format. And I was supposed to go to London for a filmmaking course, which never happened. And I think that's the only reason I have been now building this ad capturing on. Today, we built a 1-year course, which is going to be giving people photography and filmmaking because usually people had to choose. Yeah. But I think today at 17, not everybody knows what he wants to do. So we've created a thing where somebody comes into we've created a program, 12 months of rigorous training. First 2 months, our student comes into the foundation, gets his foundation right, then learns advanced photography, filmmaking, understands every genre that's available there, then picks a specialization, then gets into understanding the business aspect, because I think even the business side is very important. Marketing, how to market yourself, how to sell, how to communicate, get the person trained and all that, then go out there, do an internship, then come back with the faculty, do a show reel, and go out with a body of work of the genre you want to really specialize in.
I think that's a superb idea because I think you've always been very enterprising and you did this with your photography workshops also. Right. So I think you are definitely you've always been like an institute to, younger people, encouraging people. So I think that idea is absolutely bang on and people should definitely affiliate with you and start their careers. I think it's a great movement.
All right, thank you. So with that, continuing Soham, with your journey, now currently, let's talk a little more about if somebody has a film today. We were offline initially talking about how the industry has evolved.
Yeah.
So if a director today has a story, what do you think are the steps? How should he go about to get that film to see the day of light?
So I think, the approach has to be very clear that this I'm saying because with filmmakers like us also, we have started hearing or getting into discussions with producers, which earlier we had never experienced. When basically now the idea itself, that dictates whether that idea you are pitching for a big screen, for a cinema theater film, or for an OTT film. There are so many things which might not be commercially viable. So those kind of ideas have started moving towards OTT because the audience is more accepting, more kind of, they watch it in their own space, in the way they want it. So, there's a lot of diversification in the kind of approach in filmmaking. So, as I earlier said that we only came with a dream that we want to make films for theaters. Today, if a director comes with a mind frame that this is how I would want to start and this is where I want to reach, I think that plan or that approach should be a little clear because now we have filmmakers coming up from all over India, even from the small towns of India, and they all have a story to tell. In fact, with the OTT platforms like Netflix, Amazon, whichever platforms, see what they are looking at is more heartland stories of India, which are novel for international audience. Because with subtitles, when how we watch Korean and different cinema, abroad in different countries, people watch our Indian stories with subtitles. So they need very grounded and very earthy stories from India, which become novel for the abroad NRIs or for different viewers. So I think there's so much to evolve and so much to kind of explore. that one needs to first understand your own genre. Like, say, because we've grown up on Amitabh Bachchan films, we've grown up on these kind of commercial films, Govinda films, we have it in us to make or aim at the massy entertainers or commercial with the big stars. But today's generation is like, for them, like as we were thinking that, Gadar might not connect with the new audiences, but it has connected because of the core emotions or the storytelling. So that remains same. But the newer generation might not be a fan of that cinema. So they are growing up on Netflix, they are growing up on Amazon and these kind of content. So it is important where they see themselves as filmmakers, what kind of cinema they relate to. So that approach is very, very different. So coming back to your question is this, that the mind frame has to be that where do I want to struggle? I'm saying struggle because yes, it's going to be a struggle in any of the categories. Do I want to struggle for the big film? Do I want to struggle for the OTT platform, a zone? Or do I want to be an individual filmmaker, like a short filmmaker? So there are different journeys. There are too many avenues opened up now.
But okay, I have two questions on the same topic. Since you said you've been a writer also, you wrote your own script, and I think that's where Kaal also happened to you because you had your own script there. How important is it today for a filmmaker to be a writer?
It's not really, that's not the norm that I would go by, because end of the day, a person who is a director or wants to be a director may not necessarily be a writer, because writing is a skill by itself. A very good writer may not become a director, because again, direction has its own skills and challenges. So it's like photography and filmmaking, photography and writing, like that. It's like two different things altogether. But yes, if you're not a writer, if you're not a creative person who's putting time into writing, then I'm sure as a director, then how do you evolve yourself? I would say that you make a circle, make a habit of reading, you meet people or meet writers, and you then obviously will have to fish out what genre of film you would want to make, and you make a team of yourself, so that even if you're not a writer, but maybe your friend is, or your colleague is, or you might have paid somebody to write, or you might have given a token to somebody to help you be on board, but you need some story to tell that will give you a faster mileage. Because why would anybody hear you just on your technical basis that I'm a director, okay fine, what have you done? So then your showreel comes into place. But if you have a script or a story to be pitched, it'll make things faster, because people are going to react to the content. Today, it's not the director's world, it is not the producer's world, it is the writer's content world. If you have content, I believe now is a time for content creators, for sure.
Lovely. On this note, since you worked in a short format content, I mean, you know how to say stories even in a 30 seconds. You know how to say a story in a 2-hour film. Or today we're talking of web series also. As a filmmaker, if somebody is toiling with an idea, how does a person decide how do I want to say the story? I mean, can you throw some light on while you were discovering an idea or while you were coming up with Kaal or Luck or something? How do you expand that a little more than that little germ of an idea and convert it into a script? What goes by that process?
See, I would go by a very, by this basic thought that first of all, we get ideas every day. We might just get ideas every day that, yeah, this is exciting. Tomorrow you might get an idea that is exciting. You might get lured by a lot of things. You watch a Munna Bhai, you might say, yeah, I want to make a comedy now. You might watch a, Gadar, and, this is how film industry works, that, Gadar ke baad 3 months, everybody is going to just think ke Gadar jaisa kuch karte hai. That is how the film industry
cross hoga.
That is how the film industry works, and it is not going to change. This material, this thoughts style of industry will not change. That suddenly one day Dabang came and everybody said abhi Dabang hi banana hai. And then 2 years all were trying to make Dabang, but none of the Dabangs worked. You know what I mean? Dabang ban jata hai. Nobody can plan. Gadar ban jata hai. Nobody can plan. So one has to be sure that First of all, if that idea remains with you for days and days, weeks and weeks, months and months, and if you keep going back to that idea that no, yaar, this I can't leave it. I'm not being able to move ahead. I got these other two ideas, but that one has something in it. So what, at least my process would be that if I am confident that yeah, there is something in this idea, I would start developing, and what I would do is I would meet you, I would meet him, I would meet my friends, I would meet my family, and I would start, throwing that idea to people and see what response I'm getting. If I get 10 out of 10 people getting excited that yeah, you must make this, yeah, this is really superb, then you get that neck that yes, people are connecting with this idea. Sometimes you think that the idea is fantastic, and you tell people and they might be bahut acha, but then they might be lying to you. So you need to gauge, but you have to go back that is that idea. First of all, when you write a film, see, writing is a process that it might take 2 months or it might take 12 months. You don't know how much time it will take. So when you are investing that much time into writing that one script, you need to be excited that every time you open up your laptop, are you still excited to go back to that script? And that subject will tell you by itself. There's no study towards it.
But how much does validation help? Like while you're saying that, okay, go out and share with people, and you yourself said that a lot of times people are fake there. जो मतलब बोलते ना वो दोस्त लोग बोलेंगे हाँ यार अच्छा है बोलते ना, some people can't really give it to you in your face. So how much would you go, if I talk about you, how much would you go on your own gut versus the validation from people?
No, so I'll tell you what has happened with me is that supposing I might have 6 to 7 or 8 scripts which are written completely with dialogues, but then I know that there might be 2 or 3 which right now I might not get that excitement or validation, but the day I make a very successful film, then I will have the liberty of making those films because I still believe in those. Maybe commercially people are not getting what I'm trying to say, but there might be some subjects which are very easygoing in the sense that which are very connective. So you need to focus on those and they need to be relevant. See, it's not always helpful that you make, like Luck did not work at the box office. So if it would have been a super hit, it would have been better. But what's the use of people telling me it was ahead of its time? It needs to be with time. I believe in this because Squid Games was with time, so maybe it did really well. And a platform like Netflix, okay, platforms also matter. Where it's coming, who's going to watch it, what is the target audience. So I think there's so much of learning every day that you have to keep doing it. But one thing is there have been subjects there I might have started writing, but maybe after the first draft, I lost material that it's not as exciting as it sounds. This might be good as a short story क्योंकि इससे ज़्यादा इसमें है नहीं कुछ. So I don't ज़बरदस्ती want to stretch it to a 2-hour film. You understand? If अगर मुझे वो मसाला या scenes या मतलब material characters भरने के लिए, if I'm not getting it like organically, then I think there's some problem in it.
So example, if today you have this 2-hour script जो मैं से 2 घंटे की मूवी बना के थिएटर में रिलीज कर सकता हूँ versus I can put this 2-hour film even to a OTT platform. Yes. I can sell it to an OTT either as a film or nowadays if you see average 3-4 घंटे की भी piece को they make it into a 30 minute 8 episodic series. So what is your take on whether keeping it as a one film or making it an 8 episodic series?
So see, I'll tell you that it's a great question because I'll tell you this is where manipulation comes in. This is where there is a lot of scam coming in. ये कौन business है? Okay, when I faced this, so what happens is that I have a script which is a 2-hour script. Now that script requires one of your big heroes. The big hero I'm saying in the sense that hero's charisma, his fan following, his aura is required for that film. Okay. At the same time, if that film is not made with one of those superstars, then that film cannot be carried because the aura is required. It's a larger than life film. Now that language of that script is made for single screen theaters. I have had many producers telling me that listen Soham, we will not get this big hero. So why don't you make this into a web series and we make it with a OTT star? See, from day one, I'm compromising. I'm compromising with the craft. I'm compromising with the script. I'm compromising with the language that जो चीजें theater audience के लिए enjoy करने के लिए लिखी गई है. That is a larger than life cinema. It's like Once Upon a Time in Mumbai. I make it into a web series with actors who are not known. You might not enjoy that film. For a Once Upon a Time in Mumbai, you require Ajay Devgan. You are enjoying Imran Hashmi's dialogues.
But just putting a point of today, even every other star is also coming on OTT doing a series today. Even a Shahid is doing that series. So I mean, where is that? वो जो silver screen का जो एक feel था, वो बड़ा पर्दा, you were seeing those actors for the big screen. Today, that every other actor is coming on OTT also.
Agreed.
So what difference कहाँ रहा?
No, agreed. So first we'll complete this discussion that, so what I'm trying to say for whoever is watching this as writers or directors, the language for the theater and OTT is different. Your OTT, when you're catering to OTT, you need to have a very realistic approach. You want to see everything more real, more believable. The audience sitting at home is very intelligent. They are not enjoying bullshit. They know exactly how much you know. So they are in fact much more, smarter than you 100%. So the language of OTT and web series is different. So your writing has to address it that way. Okay, like I'll give you an example. If I'm making a horror film for the theaters, I can take liberties the way our earlier old Hindi films have taken, where things are flying, things are happening, supernatural things are happening which have no logic, because in theater that experience still works. But on OTT you will switch it off. On OTT you will want a horror, which is a horror, but it has to scare you, but it's more psychological. Right. There you will not accept all this, larger than life or like tacky things happening. So the language is different. I'm saying that, coming to your question, if I have to convert any of my 2-hour script into a film, I can do it, and it has to be rewritten. I cannot take a shortcut कि हाँ 2 घंटे का लिखा है, अब ये प्रोड्यूसर मिला है, इसको 6 एपिसोड में काट के उधर बना देते हैं. You are fooling the audience, you are fooling yourself. It will not work like that. You need to rewrite. You have to respect the audience's mind frame and change the language. If I have written something for a Hindi filmy hero, it's not necessary. I'll name, supposing I have written a dialogue for an Ajay Devgan or a Amitabh Bachchan or anybody, they are those superstars who can deliver that. People have come to see that. Salman Khan. Okay. I cannot give those dialogues or that attitude to a Manoj Bajpayee. I have to change it for him. I have to see what suits him. So that language is different. We need to address that language.
Amazing. I think I like the example what you're saying, because today a lot of people are probably trying to just mend it.
I have done it. I have rewritten a subject, but every time I have gone and narrated that subject, I have not enjoyed narrating it, because I know that I have made compromises. I have twisted
the
it.
The best version was
it is not greenlit. Simple. और greenlit नहीं हुआ है. If I've written something purely for OTT, what I'm getting as a greenlit is much more authentic and faster. They understand the language. They also, the people sitting there to kind of hear your narrations or read your scripts, they immediately sense कि हाँ ये film होगी, ये film बन नहीं रही है तो इसको OTT में करके लाया. So they also understand.
Amazing. I think good to get these real insights. I'm sure this is going to help a lot of other filmmakers who are yet struggling to find their direction or find their way. So Soham, what else? I mean, this movie is there now. What's next after this movie? Since you already shot this, what is your next project that you're churning in your head?
So I'm focusing on 2 things right now. One more thing to add to my kind of whatever little bit work I've done. In the COVID lockdown, I happened to write a novel. Okay, and that novel is going to come out next month in the market. It's called Blood Moon. Okay, and it's a supernatural horror thriller. So that novel kind of shaped up really well. I got a book publisher to publish it. Om Books is coming out with that book next month, and Also, simultaneously, I wrote a web series of the same. So I adapted the novel into a 10-episode web series, and I've spoken to one or two very, very good actors also who've given me a green lit. So right now I'm in a process where I'm pitching it to these platforms. Hopefully one of the platforms might greenlit. So that is what I'm looking at, one web series. And at the same time I'm in a process of almost completing one more new script, which is, as I told you earlier, that I'm focusing to come back to, that is, as I said, it's completely focused at the big screen. I'm clear that I want to tell that story on the big screen. So these are the two things I'm chasing right now.
Lovely. I think that chase doesn't stop.
No.
So, you finish that one movie, you're busy shooting, to busy with post. The post ho gaya, to bas back to the next one.
Yes, that's. I think there's no other way to it. But and now the times have changed so much that every 3-4 months you need to kind of keep on coming up with newer stories, because there's so much content that it just might get outdated in maybe 1 year, 2 years. So one has to keep trying.
Absolutely. So, what do you think of Rocky Rani that just came in? Since you've known Karan Johar so well, he took so many years to come back as a director, and he came up with something which is phenomenal.
See, I loved it. I loved it because the first trailer, when I saw the first song, I still have the message that I sent Karan, that I just wrote 10 lines of huge hit, because I knew one thing, that he was coming back to a cinema which he knows the best. You know what I mean? This is Karan Johar.
Right.
So, he made many other things in between, but this was Karan Johar written all over, and he's a master of this craft. So it had to work. And from the first scene to the last scene, I thoroughly enjoyed the film, because our films used to be like this, and they need to be entertaining. They need to be a mix of every emotion, and I think that is why it has done so well. So I really, really enjoyed the film.
Absolutely. I so agree with every word that you said. I think he did justice to his brand name for sure.
Absolutely. When you're going to see a Karan Johar film, this is what you wanted to see, and that is what he gave you.
So, okay, let's do a very short rapid fire round. I've been wanting to do this in all my podcasts, but we've never done it. So I think this is the first time we're going to do a very random rapid fire. Your favorite director?
Gopal Varma.
Your favorite actor?
There are so many.
One. Rapid fire.
Ajay Devgan.
Okay. Your favorite color?
Black.
Okay. Your favorite genre?
Horror.
Your favorite human being?
I'll say my DOP, Santosh Tundil.
Okay. Your favorite brand?
North Face.
Okay. Your favorite hobby?
Painting.
Okay. Your favorite film?
Goodfellas.
Your favorite project?
Yet to come. Yet to come.
I like this. Okay, yeah. I like this. Superb. So I think it's been wonderful chatting with you and talking to you and getting to know so much insights of you. But we'll have to for sure do one other session on. I think 2 more sessions. One only on Kaal, and one what you said, the differences of Squid Game versus Luck.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much.
So guys, that brings us to the end of today's episode. कैसा लगा आप लोगों को? I really got to learn a lot from Soham today. For me, the biggest takeaway was when Soham said, to be a filmmaker, you need to have a story. I've had a lot of stories that I'm looking forward to making. What's your story? Do drop a comment and let me know what was your biggest takeaway from today's episode. But before we go, let's give you a sneak peek into what's in store for you in the next episode. So as you guys know, The Quest would be back again next week, right? All your creative and technical doubts, I'm all here to clear. Yes, after a wonderful response by you guys in the previous episode of The Quest, I'm charged up again to ensure you to level up. So don't stop writing to me and ask me whatever questions you want. Please note, selective questions will be featured in the next episode. So uske baad, in the next episode, we're going to get into the wildlife space. Yes, we have this girl joining us who picked up the camera at the age of 13. And today she is known as the youngest female to have won the Wildlife Photographer of the Year award. This is your host, Luv Israni, signing off. See you guys next week in the next episode of Level Up with Love. Stay tuned for your weekly dose of learning, and I'll make sure you level up with me.